How's it going, guys? I'm doing a little bit something different today. My name is Rob with Commotion Diecast, and I get a lot of questions about how to make Hot Wheels fast. I'm not going to give you all my secrets because you have to work your ass off to find speed that some of the top guys do. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some of the basic things on how to find speed. Now, what I'm going to be working with today is one of these funny cars, one of these Probe funny cars. This is a heavyweight car. It weighs about 72 grams. Your goal is to find a car that you can pull out of the pack and it runs straight and it already feels like it's got potential. So I pulled this guy out of the pack. And what you want to look for, you want to make sure none of the wheels are rubbing, that it has clearance all the way around, that the wheels are free spinning. You see that? That's right out of the pack. This one has zero lube on it. You also want to make sure and take a look at it that they're all straight. You know, this one looks a little cattywampus, a little bit, but I think it's really, really close. I feel like this car is going to be good out of the pack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it over. I'm going to get a couple runs. For a 72 gram car, if I see anything in like the 1730 range, I'm going to be super happy as a starting point, because the fastest Probe funny car that I have runs 1588s, 1587s. So if I can get this, and that's elite to me, I think mid eights is ultimately where you want to be. But to me, if I can get this thing running 9.0s, 8.9s, I will be super happy. So let's take this to the track, get a couple preliminary runs, bring it back, and I'll show you how I make it faster. All right, here we go. Also, one of the things I want to point out, and it's something that I look for in these cars, is that the axle has a little bit of resistance, like it's not floating back and forth. But with that also comes, you see this one has a little resistance when I touch it. That means that the axle is going to semi-stay in place and not cause unnecessary friction. But also when you run these cars, if it hits the bag at the end of the track, it can tighten the axle to one side and pull a wheel in, and that can slow you down dramatically, not just thousandths, but hundredths of a second. So be aware of that. And a good race master, when they have mail-in races, will always check those wheels to make sure they're not kind of pinned in before each and every lap. So I've done that to this one. Let's take it to the stop, Let's take it to the top and see where it stands right out of the pack. Here we go, run number one. That thing sounds good. Perfect, 22. That is well within the limits for a great time right out of the pack. Let's do it one more time. 16:22 is an exceptional time. I could hear the car. It didn't sound like it was wobbling, especially with some of these funny cars. You'll hear them kind of rattle. It'll be like ching, 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 ching down the track. This thing is super tight. So let's do one more run, then we'll take it to the Commotion garage to see what we got. It was chinging a little. Oh man, this thing is going to be a monster. That's awesome. Literally out of the pack. 16/16s. This thing's got some potential. Let's go back, get some speed. You guys are in luck. I mean, that might have been the fastest stock pull I've ever had on one of these funny cars, and I've got probably 20 of them. I'm very impressed with that. I usually have to work super hard because these are older castings, so sometimes you got to work exceptionally hard just to get them to good speed, much less elite speed. So the first step that I typically do is I will look at this car and I will determine how much I need to sand the wheels. And sanding the wheels makes them true so that when it goes down the track, it's not fighting against itself. And if you've ever been in a car that has a tire out of balance or anything like that, it'll create like a wobble, and you don't want that because that robs speed. Let me show you the tool that I use to kind of true everything up, and yeah, you might want to make one. It makes things a lot easier. So this is my custom sanding board that I made. Obviously, it's got a lot of different purposes, and you can see the grits right here. 180 is typically where you'll use if you're sanding a base on a car up to 400, and then I go all the way to 6,000 on it. But when I'm doing tires, I'll typically start on 1,000 or 1,500. That seems to be a good start. And then I won't go all the way up unless the car is really, really running smooth, because if I get it too smooth, it can dance across the track. Too slick it can be a problem too, but you want to have them true, but not super slick. So let me show you how I do it. So the first thing that I typically do, and I use the maximum velocity, is I put a little dab of graphite where the hub touches the body, so that when I'm sanding it, it's not chewing up the hub on the wheel. And I simply literally just kind of put a little bit in there and rub it in. Put a little bit on each of them and rub it in. Just like so. And again, that back's a little tight, so you might have to scoot it out, that axle, and that's a good thing. And then I also put my lube of choice, which I'm not going to show you guys because that's a trade secret, but I'll put a little bit of lube also on the wheel so that when I'm doing this, it's kind of working that lube in. So, but you guys are going to have to find that out on your own. WD-40, something like that maybe? All right, so I have lubed up my axle and my wheel for the very first step. Made sure that it's nice and worked in. Good way to work in your lube is to literally put your lube in and run it back and forth and back and forth. That kind of pushes it not only into the axle, but into the wheel material itself. And as far as making a lot of people do this different ways. Some people will go like this in little circles. I just go back and forth at an angle so that I don't create flat spots. So this is how I do it. Sounds great, doesn't it? So I do that, then I switch it, and I do it like this. Then I rotate it, and I do it, and I rotate it, and I do it. And then I make sure that my work that I've done has taken off all the little nipples from the molding of the wheel. You'll notice that they do have little kind of like nipples on the wheels. So I'm going to go ahead and do this until it's flat, and then I'll show you the next step. All right, so now you can see we're even all the way across, right? Now with this, I'll probably pass it a couple times down here on the 4000 just to take any of that grit out of it. I'll even go kind of up on the side of the wheel just to clear anything off, because where you rub the track also matters with the car, right? So I'll just kind of clean it up all the way around. Then I'll literally go over, I have cloth on here. I'll literally go over here and almost polish it up a little bit, right? The next step is to start brandishing in your lube, right? Anywhere that touches, whether it be inside of the axle, where it touches the chassis, you really need to think about that contact point and making it as slick as humanly possible. That's how you get it to go fast, right? So I am going to re-hit all of my spots with lube, take it back to the track, and start burning it in and see if I can't find some speed. We are at the starting gate. I made sure that the axles were lined up, that they weren't crimping the wheels down against the chassis. So let's see how much speed we were able to make. Started out with the fastest time of 1:6:16. Run number 1. And these will get faster. 15:91. Yep. That's a hell of a good start. So I think this one's going to be in the 8s, guys. Got a banger! And as you burn your, whatever lube you use, it will get faster, it'll get slower, you'll have to reapply, but you will find that sweet spot where that car becomes consistent, and then you just got to maintain it. So here's run number 2. 9:2. Run number 3. 9:1. Run it one more time. And the 4th run, which will be the final run for now. Here we go. That's where we want, baby. 15:88. So yeah, I hope this helped you guys out. I mean, there are a lot of secrets and a lot of things that go into this that I didn't show you. But the basics, once you get those down, you will find some insane speed increases. So If this helped, let me know. If you'd like to see more videos like this, let me know. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and until next time, keep on racing.